Yep, it's me again. They hate us, that's why they give a fuck about us at the same time. As always, I am your host, JD Miles. The MGTOWs, they love to hate. Even the ones that claim everybody loves to hate them, loves to hate MGTOW at the same time as always, which is why they keep us relevant to this day, and I'm back again. For tonight's topic of discussion. And before I even say it, I'm going to put a link to my previous video in the comments section. Because keep in mind, I talked about this before. Now y'all get to clearly see exactly what I said in action. Remember, fellas, what they call lame today, they're gonna want those same lames tomorrow after the thrill is gone. And what did I also state it? When they realize that the ones they passed up is now the ones they want after the party's over, after all the dumb shit, all the baggage, all the emotional damage, all the multiple kids by multiple baby daddies. Now after the thrill is gone, they want to go back to the same ones they call lames and expect them to pick up the pieces. They expect them to fix anything that's been damaged. They expect them to clean up after their asses. And at the moment they refuse to do so, now they're the ones with the problem. Oh, now they're wrong for not accepting them after they become used goods. Oh, it's a problem because they won't take their leftovers. And yeah, I said it, fuck your feelings if you're mad, unapologetically. But by the end of the day, guess what? They made their choice, and the ones they call lame made theirs, now that they're successful. And shout out to Jesus Said, the host of the Coffee Pot. I'll leave the link to his full video in the description box. Go check it out. But without further ado, let's get down to business, shall we?
They were in high school. When the nerd came to the girl in high school, she was like, no, I want you. And then when she became baby mama, he was a CEO, executive, and all that. And she's like, hey, you remember me? He said, no, I want you. I be feeling like, respectfully, y'all is the grown-up versions of that got hurt in high school while we was out with the dealers. Let me tell you something. We were victims then making horrible decisions with grown preying on us. Y'all gotta let that shit go.
She's saying.
Okay, let me go back to her real quick. First off, bitch, have several seats, shut the fuck up forever. By the end of the day, y'all made your fucking choice. The ones you call lame, who is now made something out of himself, they're not obligated to come in and fix your ass. Now, that being said, what she's referring to was a meme, and we all know the meme. In fact, I'll show it to you by the end of this video. But notice how she's trying to come off as being a victim. Oh, that's right. She's the victim. And I repeat, she's the victim of her own fucked up life choices. And now she's mad because the same men she called lames are now the same ones that's not gonna volunteer to be a step dummy or another man's provider. And guess what? Those men have every right to refuse. You see, they got this little idea in their head that, I'll reject them. And at the moment I finish having my fun, they're gonna be sitting right there expecting me expecting me to return. That right there is wishful thinking at best. But let's continue on.
Y'all is the grown-up versions of that got hurt in high school while we was out with the dealers. Let me tell you something. We were victims then making horrible decisions with grown preying on us. Y'all gotta let.
And how are you a victim, ma'am? No, she needs to explain how she became a victim of her own fucked up life choices. Oh, that's right. According to her, she was manipulated. She was manipulated by the fact that the dude that was toxic lured her in, and which let Uncle JD say this. Whose fault is that shit? Certainly not the ones you call lames, that's for certain. And on top of that, you're supposed to be smart. You're supposed to know when you are manipulated. So that retarded fuck ass logic right there is nothing more than just a goddamn excuse. And there is no excuses in this situation. You made your decision, now you got to live with it. Let's continue.
Y'all gotta let that shit go.
She sat here and claimed victim. Oh, we were messing with drug dealers and older men and scammers and all this other shit. And the good guys are just supposed to let it go. Forgive us, let it go, even though we have children with these men, right? As young black men in high school, even it starts off really in middle school. In middle school, you're in 8th grade. The girls are talking to the freshmen, maybe even a sophomore at the high school. So when you're in middle school, they're talking to high schoolers. And when you're in high school, you become like a sophomore, junior, senior. They're talking to grown men outside of schools.
That's so not only hey, shout out to Scarface Mark. Shout out to Scarface.
And he ain't lying at all. He ain't lying at all. Especially during my times during high school. And the time and now I'm even hearing it from my own sons. That's exactly what they're doing in high school. But you know what's even more of a trip? Is that these females was messing with these older dudes in high school. Now look at them. Now they complaining about the men of their age bracket messing with younger females. But the argument I lay down is, wait a second. Isn't that the same thing y'all were doing when y'all were younger? How come it's now a problem? How come it's now a problem? I'll leave it at that. Let's continue.
Follow him on IG. I'm going to have his IG pinned to the top of the comment section of this video. You know, TikTok is leaving, and a lot of these content creators, I actually wish they could still produce content somehow, some way. Hopefully you'll still be producing content over.
Oh, TikTok is getting banned. Well, me personally, I don't give a fuck. Especially when TikTok won't let us have a voice on their platform. That being said, you think I give a fuck about TikTok getting banned? The hell with it for all I give a damn. Let's continue.
Here on YouTube. Let's keep listening.
Only are you competing with guys your age. You're competing with grown men. Men that got cars, money, jobs, and you're in high school, bro. I had a girl I used to deal with back in high school. I'm like 16, 17, dealing with her.
Right.
And she ends up cheating on me with a grown man. So mind you, she used to call me broke when we got into it. Mind you, I'm 16, 17 years old. I'm supposed to be broke. But she wants to have that now. It's all about being patient, right?
Right.
A lot of these girls aren't patient. So she's dealing with a guy that he sells, you know what I'm saying, ends up getting arrested for it. Thank God. But he has a Porsche. He used to pick her up in a nice Porsche. Mind you, I'm 16, 17, playing 3 sports a year. No job, no nothing. I can't work. There's no way for me to make money because I don't have time. I'm a student. But they end up choosing those type of guys or getting pregnant by those guys or even getting over by those guys. And then later on, by the time we're 30, 40, they finally want to come with the guy that has a nice 9 to 5,
right?
Fears God and has great character, but they want people to forget those type of things, and that's a no-no. Why should a man that you passed up on forget that, or even give you the time of day now when he put in the work to be who he was, but when he was nothing on the come up, you passed on him for the guy that had it at the now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a fact. In the words of the late Fife Dog from A Tribe Called Quest, Office on Butter. And I quote, "You didn't want me then, so hun, don't want me now." What did Fife Dog meant by that? And I repeat again, you didn't want me then, so hun, don't want me now. Yeah, take a towel. Wipe out your brow. Take the content out your eye. You're far from looking fly. You're getting an E for effort and T for nice try. Basically, what the late Fife Dog meant was this. Back then, you didn't want me. Now you are now all on me. And what's more, you expecting for him to wait till you have your fun, wait for you to have your little thrills, and he's supposed to just sit there waiting for you to do all that done after the thrill is gone, after you're a single mother, after you have emotional damage to come in and now take care of you. Man, that's some retarded fuck ass logic. And keep this in mind, fellas. If the shoe was on the other foot, he was out there having fun, sleeping with multiple women, getting pregnant by multiple women, and expect for the woman that he rejected to wait for him to have his fun. We all know that shit will not happen. And if that shit would not happen for him, why should it happen for her? I'm just saying. Let's continue.
That's the problem. Y'all want the guy to have it now instead of later, over time. This building shit takes time. Women in today's time, and then this is why a lot of black women aren't married.
They have no patience.
They don't want to build anymore.
Mm.
They want it now. They want you to have it now at 23, 24. They want you to have it at 19, 18, 16, 17. They want you to have it right now, not later, now. So that's why they go
straight. And I will say this, that type of way of thinking is what I call wishful thinking. And that's all it is to it.
To the drug dealers and the scammers, and they want it now. And then when that guy goes to jail or he ends up, getting popped or whatever, losing it all, that's when they get to crawling back to the guys that built it very slowly and kept it. But they want you to forget it, though. Let it go. No.
All right, so you guys heard the video for yourself. We have a very familiar face here. I've seen her on a few different platforms. I believe this is Anton Daniels' platform. Shout out to Anton Daniels.
Shout out to Anton Daniels.
I'm not mistaken. So she says that, we have all these guys out here who look back at high school and they pursued these chicks who were dating scammers and drug dealers. Maybe he wasn't a scammer, but he was a straight bum. And they're upset because now she's a baby mama and she has his baby. And she wants him, but he doesn't want her because when he was down, she pretty much shit on him and chose up on him for the drug dealers, scammers, and bums. And now she frames herself as the victim. Her and other... No. Listen. She may be talking about other people here. Let me not make this specifically towards her. But she frames the women in this situation as victims and frames the men who look back to being rejected by these now newly single mothers as bitter. And she's saying it wasn't our fault because we were being manipulated. What are my thoughts?
I'll tell you my thought. My thought is that shit is no fucking excuse. who, in their goddamn mind, will allow themselves to be manipulated in the first place. That's number one. And number two, she should have known the warning signs, yet she chose to ignore it and continue on. And now look where she is at right now. Single mother, baggage, emotionally damaged, and now calling back to the same ones that she rejected, expecting them to be the backup, expecting them to be the cleanup man, as they call it. And when he refuses, now all of a sudden, she's mad at him for refusing to settle for leftovers. Ma'am, you're not a victim. Ma'am, you're not a victim. You made your own damn choice. And it's not the ones that you rejected responsibility nor obligation to come back and fix up your goddamn fucked up life choices off the gate. Let's continue.
It was 100% your fault. If you were turning down good young men, because that's all a young man can be when he's in high school. That's all you can be. When you're in high school, you could just hope if you're dating, or even college, right? You could just hope that if you're in high school and college, that the men you're dealing with when you're younger are just good guys, that they have the type of character, because that's the only thing you really have built at that point that may point to you being successful in your future. You just hope that young man has the character that you can feel safe around and that he's not toxic. But what happened? You went after the toxic man and couldn't recognize, and what you should have been able to recognize as a better option. And so a modern woman in this situation may look at this and go, well, I didn't know any better. Well, my question then would be, why didn't you know any better?
Exactly.
Because I wasn't raised like that. Oh, you.
And even by then, you still should have known better. I know, growing up, I know a lot of people that was raised wrong. I know a lot of people that haven't been raised at all. Are they using that as a crutch to justify their poor messed up choices? No, they didn't. Instead, they used that as motivation to better themselves, to make better decisions. So once again, I can't look at that as an excuse. But that's just me. Let's continue.
You weren't raised like that. Then it's still your fault. And if it's not you directly, it's whoever was raising you. Yes, your family is to blame, and your children do suffer the consequences of the mistakes of their parents. Let me make this very clear.
I do agree. In fact, for those of you who are parents out there, we all heard that saying. The first time we became a parent, I myself included. Your child is the reflection of you. Your child is the reflection of you. You carry yourself on the right accord and you set the example, your child will follow. But if you waste your life making poor fucked up decisions, guess what? That child will follow. Y'all remember that anti-drug commercial about this father who confronts his son about having drugs in his room? Where did you get it? Answer me. Where did you get where did you get this stuff? You, Dad. I learned it by watching you. Parents who use drugs have children who use drugs. Tell me that's not an Amazon Prime example. Exactly. Let's continue.
It's very simple here. There's a verse. I'm going to roughly quote this because I don't remember exactly where it's from, but you can go look it up. But it reads, train a child in the way that it should grow. And when he grows, he will not depart from it. Now, he can mean she. That's just the way the Bible works. Feminists don't like it. It is what it is. That's scripture.
Yet their hands are too short to box with God. Yeah, feminist hands are too short to box with God. But let's continue.
Which this can be applied to life in general, is if you raise up a child the right way from the beginning, then as the child grows older, in most cases, not the exception, in most cases, that child will not depart from the instruction it was given when they were younger. So what does this mean? That means if no one really cemented in your mind that, hey, in this family, when you go to school, you represent this family, you don't deal with bums. You don't deal with dudes who sell drugs. You don't deal with men who think toxicity and the music they listen to is something that should be applied to their real life. And they actually are out here doing this shit for real, in real life. We don't do that. If they don't sit there and go, hey, we don't dress like that here in this house, the daughters here in this household should embrace modesty to an extent. No, you're not supposed to look like a nun. That's not what I'm talking about. But there should have been a standard set that should have helped you when you got into the world out there, when you went to school, that helped you make better decisions when you went to college and high school, so that you don't look at the forbidden fruit and think, oh, that looks good. Let me bite into that. Oh, come on. Well, what about the men? So they're not supposed to. Yeah, the men too, but we're not talking about the men. The men too, but we're not talking about the men. Yes, men have expectations, and same thing goes with my main point here. There are a lot of young people who suffer due to the lack of seriousness, lack of intentionality of their parents. I use the biblical reference just because there's so many lessons like that apply to just real life, like practical knowledge in real life.
Yep, and that's a fact. And yeah, they will deflect it back on the men because they're so scared of taking accountability. And yes, we all see the pattern. Every time they got to face their own accountability, they will try to deflect it back on the men because of the fact that they want men to be held accountable, but when it's time for them to be held accountable, they run and duck for cover. But that's all I'm going to do on this. Now, as I said before, the hurt triggered single mother who was in her feelings over the fact that the one she rejected don't want her ass now. Remember when I said that she was referencing a meme, right? Well, let's take a look at this meme, shall we? This is the meme she's referring to. Yep. This is the meme that got that single mother so hurt, so triggered. In which there ain't shit she could do about it. I mean, what? What's she gonna do? She gonna force him to take her back? No. What's done is done. And if the one she rejected don't want her now after all the damage is done, then guess what? It ain't gonna happen. No matter how much she throws a tantrum or go on these videos during a goddamn tirade, guess what? His decision, his choice. Just like how you made your decision and your choice. If he don't want you back, that's that. Crying and bitching about it ain't gonna change it. Doing a tirade about it ain't gonna change it. Being your feelings and emotions ain't gonna change it. By the end of the day, she made her choice. And guess what? The ones that she rejected made their choice as well. That being said, all you single mothers getting triggered over this meme, dry your weeping eyes because you're not changing nothing. And I'm out this bitch. Later.